Gallego of Arizona. Senator, thanks for joining us. The sources tell us that the Pentagon has ordered about 1,500 active duty soldiers to prepare for a possible deployment to Minnesota. Not necessarily going to happen, not necessarily imminent, but still possible. This is after President Trump has been threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act, according to defense officials. What's your reaction?
Well, this is what the president's wanted the whole time. There's no reason for us to even have this many ICE agents running around Minnesota. The president threw them into this very volatile area in order for them to create this environment because he thinks the military is his tool, his toy that he could just use at any time. And he wants nothing more to be able to use them and deploy them to these blue cities to intimidate. Not because it's going to bring any more safety. As a matter of fact, it'll just cause more harm than any kind of safety. But that way he could just say that he did it. And that's the danger of this president. He's not looking out for the safety and security of Americans. He's looking out for his own personal entertainment. And he doesn't care who gets hurt in the process of it.
A CNN poll this week found that half of Americans, more than half really, think ICE is making cities less safe. A growing number of Democrats are renewing calls to abolish ICE entirely in the wake of the death of Renee Good a couple weeks ago. You have said that ICE is a problem, it's out of control, but that abolishing ICE would be a mistake. Why?
Well, look, I think ICE needs to be totally torn down. It has to be, created in the image of what people want, right? And what does that look like? From my experience running in Arizona, in a very hard state when it comes to immigration issues, people want immigration enforcement that goes after criminals, right? And focuses on criminals. And immigration enforcement is actually focused on security and not the goon squad that has come from Stephen Miller and Donald Trump. One that issues warrants, one that doesn't have people masked and acting like, we're a third world police force. What we're seeing right now is not what we want from ICE. And we can create and have a force that's actually focused on immigration and on security and not this type of intimidation that's happening right now.
As you know, there's a government funding bill that comes due this month, and there's a growing push by some Democrats in the House and Senate to freeze ICE funding as a point of contention in the government funding bill. A year ago, you voted to expand ICE funding. What are you going to do this week, this time? Because Democratic Senator Chris Murphy said, quote, Democrats cannot vote for a Department of Homeland Security budget that doesn't restrain the growing lawlessness of this agency.
Yeah, he's 100% right, and I'm talking to him. If we cannot vote for anything that actually adds more money and doesn't constrain ICE, it's not what we want out of ICE. Again, we want a security force that is focused on targeting and deporting criminals. What they're doing right now is none of that. What they're doing right now is actually suppressing U.S. citizens, racially profiling in all parts of our country, bringing violence to areas that you don't need. You have men with very little training shooting U.S. citizens. This is not at all what we need. I'm certainly not going to fund something of that nature if it's only going to cause more and more problems and more harm and less security for Americans and everyday people that are just trying to live their lives.
Even if that means shutting down the government? And are there enough Democrats that agree with that, that the government actually will be shut down?
I can't speak for everybody else. But if I have to shut down the portion of ICE, just to be clear, we're not shutting down the rest of the government, the portion of ICE that is causing this kind of harm, racially profiling people, terrorizing our cities, I know the implications of that. I know the political implications potentially of that. But we cannot keep funding this, this type of goon squads that are just spreading throughout the whole country just to enforce some weird policy position that Stephen Miller has, where he thinks that we have to punish blue cities.
I want to turn to foreign policy because you've called President Trump an idiot for his push to take control of Greenland, and you've said that Congress can't take any chances of allowing that to happen. You've met with the foreign ministers of both Denmark and Greenland this past week. How are they reacting to President Trump's threats?
Look, they're shocked, and they're trying to find reason within what's happening here. And I tried to explain to them there is no reasoning. Right, the president just wants to have a legacy piece where he gets to claim that he brought in this big chunk of land that he sees on the map, even though it's distorted map, and he's willing to ruin our whole foreign policy, all of our alliances, our economy, just so he could get what he wants. This man is doing everything for himself and nothing for us. Even the idea of buying it, we're going to spend billions and billions of dollars, potentially $500 billion, which is never going to happen. But right now we can't even afford health insurance for U.S. citizens, and we're talking about buying land. And let me just say one more time, Denmark, the Kingdom of Denmark and Greenland has said, we will give you everything you want, short of giving you possession of our land. You want more bases, you get more bases. You want to put more people, you get it. The idea that we're going to waste money for everything we want is the dumbest decision we can make. The only person who can make a decision this dumb is someone that would actually let a casino go under. And guess who's president right now?